Funny, isn't it? How life brings you to this edge, this little cliff, where the ground crumbles behind you and the only thing ahead is the unknown, stretching wide and wild like a bad joke gone too far. You've been pacing back and forth, haven't you? Thinking maybe there's a side door, a secret tunnel, an escape hatch cleverly hidden if you just look hard enough. But no, not this time. This time the game is different. This time the stage lights are hot. The crowd's already laughing or screaming. Who can tell the difference anymore? And you, my friend, are center stage with no script, no safety net, just a choice you can't unmake. Fear is funny, isn't it? It creeps in, not when you're miles away from the dream. No. That would be too easy to spot. It waits. It lurks. It lets you get close enough to smell the sweetness of victory, to feel the electricity crackling under your skin, to taste that first drop of freedom. And then it roars. It screams so loud it drowns out everything else. Your heart beats like a drum in a funeral march, palms sweat, mind races, every ugly little thought you've ever buried starts clawing its way up. Maybe you're not good enough, maybe you're not ready, maybe you should turn back, play it safe, sit back down and shut up like everybody else. Fear doesn't show up to warn you you're failing. No. It shows up to test if you deserve what you're about to win. It's the final dragon at the gate, the last ugly face you have to punch before you get to dance in the throne room. And the thing about fear is, it's a master illusionist. Oh, it'll make you believe the ground is shaking when it's rock solid. It'll make shadows out of air. It'll paint monsters on the walls and whisper in your ear that they're real. It's not enough for fear to just exist. No, it needs you to participate. It needs your imagination, your memories, your regrets. It's a magician, a parasite, a trickster, wearing your mother's voice or your own. When you're lying awake at 3 a.m. wondering what the hell you're doing, and the closer you are to breaking through, the louder it screams, because fear knows. It knows you are inches away from ripping the whole curtain down. You see, most people don't fail because they're weak. They don't fail because they're stupid. They fail because fear convinces them that surviving is better than winning. It sells survival as success. Stay safe, it says. Don't risk it. Think about your family. Think about your job. Think about your reputation. Think about how embarrassing it'll be if you fall flat on your face. Fear sells you a coffin and calls it a castle. It wraps you in chains and calls it jewelry. It puts a muzzle on your mouth and tells you it's a crown. And the best part? You buy it. You swallow it like candy, because fear doesn't come at you with fists. It comes with a smile. It makes itself look reasonable, logical, sensible. It's the voice of good advice in the back of your head whispering, sit down, shut up, stay small. But if you could see fear for what it really is, a desperate scream, a last-ditch effort to stop you because you're about to make history, if you could recognize that fear doesn't show up when you're doing nothing, fear shows up when you're about to do something impossible. If you could just sit with it, let it howl, let it spit in your face and still take that next shaky step forward, you'd understand that fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a flare. It's a blaring red alarm saying you're closer than you've ever been. It's the enemy's last bullet. It's the final boss. It's the dying breath of the old you, clawing at your ankles as you drag yourself into something bigger than anything you've ever touched. And sure, fear hurts. It's messy, it's ugly. You'll feel it in your bones like a tremor just under the surface. You'll want to run, to hide, to numb yourself out with every cheap distraction you can find. Some people call their friends, some people drink, some people scroll until their thumbs go numb. Anything to make the noise stop. But the real ones, the real maniacs, they lean in. They taste the fear like blood in their mouth, and they spit it out laughing. They look fear dead in the eyes and say, "Is that all you've got?" They realize fear is a mirror, not a monster. It's reflecting every hope, every prayer, every sleepless night you ever had, telling you the finish line is just around the corner. If you've got the guts to crawl to it, bloody and broken and laughing like a lunatic. And there's nothing more dangerous than someone who hears fear screaming in their ear and keeps walking anyway. Because that person is unstoppable. That person is already free. That person is no longer negotiating with the world. They're taking what's already theirs. Fear doesn't know what to do with people like that. It throws everything it has at them. It bites, it howls, it weeps. But it's useless, because once you know the trick, once you know that fear only screams when you're close enough to touch the sky, you stop treating it like an enemy and start treating it like an applause. The wild applause of a world that knows you're about to shatter every rule they ever made to keep you small. You ever notice how when you're about to lose everything, fake disappears first? Like rats off a sinking ship, they scatter. Friends you thought were family, lovers who swore forever, partners who promised they'd ride or die, poof, gone like smoke. And you're left standing there, watching all the beautiful lies you built your life on crumble like a house of cards in a hurricane. It's funny, people scream loyalty when everything's comfortable, but the second the earth shakes, they're out the door so fast, you'd think the building was on fire. Turns out love, loyalty, trust, all those big fancy words, they're cheap when the world is handing out trophies for pretending. It's when the trophies stop coming, when the lights cut off, when the money dries up, that you see who was real and who was just waiting for their chance to jump ship. And you know what's even funnier? You thank them later. Oh, not at first. No, at first it feels like getting punched in the throat. You'll sit in the ashes, wondering how you could have been so blind. How you could have loved people who only loved the parts of you that served them. But eventually, when the smoke clears, when you wipe the blood off your mouth and stand back up, you realize they did you a favor. They saved you time, they revealed themselves, they showed you exactly what they were made of. You didn't lose anything, you got free. You didn't lose love, you lost a performance. You didn't lose loyalty, you lost a transaction. You didn't lose real ones, you lost leeches. Pain has a way of peeling back the skin and showing you the bones underneath. Comfort hides the rot. Comfort lets people wear masks, lets them smile in your face while stabbing your dreams in the back when you're not looking. But pressure rips the masks clean off. Pressure makes people show you who they are when they think you have nothing left to offer, and that's when you get to see the truth. That's when you see who stays when there's no spotlight, who shows up when you have nothing to give, who kneels beside you when you're crawling through hell and says, I'm not going anywhere, not because they want something, not because they need something, but because they love you without conditions. Do not weigh bones that you can build a future. A life is Scott's country with your kids. The longer you see who's real and who's performing, the sooner you see who's real and who's performing, the sooner you stop wasting your breath trying to resuscitate relationships that were dead the minute you stop winning. The sooner you bury the fakes, the longer you know. You feel it in your bone. No games, no competition, no jealousy hiding behind fake smiles. Just love, just loyalty, just warriors who would rather fight beside you in the dirt than celebrate without you in the palace. But here's the catch. You have to let them leave. You have to stop begging people to stay. You have to stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You have to stop giving CPR to dead situations. You have to trust the collapse. Trust the loneliness. Trust the empty chairs at your table. Because they're not empty by accident. They are empty on purpose. To make room. To clear the stage, to purify the battlefield. Every person who walks away when you're bleeding is making space for someone who will fight to keep you breathing. Every person who turns their back when you're down is giving their seat away to someone who will lift you higher than you ever dreamed. See, the world teaches you to fear loss, to cling, to beg. But real power comes from letting it burn. Real freedom comes from standing in the fire and saying, go ahead, take what you want. I'll rebuild better without you. Real strength comes from understanding that what's meant for you will fight to stay. Real love doesn't need to be chained. Real loyalty doesn't need to be tested. And real ones, they don't just show up when it's easy. They show up when it's hell on earth, when you're bruised and broken and ugly crying on the floor, and they don't flinch. They pick you up, dust you off, and remind you who the hell you are. Boss isn't the end, it's the beginning. Betrayal isn't a death sentence, it's a rebirth. Every fake friend that walks away is a brick pulled from a rotten foundation so you can build something stronger. Every false love that dies is a door slamming shut to protect you from the kind of destruction you wouldn't survive twice. Every knife in your back carves out a little more space for the wings you're growing. You just have to stop crying over people who were never strong enough to walk the path you're called to walk. You have to stop mourning the exit of people who couldn't even survive the first tremor of your breakthrough. Let them go. Let the house burn. Watch the ashes swirl. And when the dust settles, smile. Because now you're free to build something they could never tear down, even if they tried. You ever sit back and realize how people clap the loudest when you're standing on a trap door? They smile so wide when you're walking right into disaster, pat your back, tell you you're doing great, all while holding the scissors ready to cut the last rope holding you up. That's the beauty of betrayal, dressed up like applause. You think you're winning, you think you're loved, And in reality, you're just being paraded around for entertainment, waiting for the moment you trip and fall so they can laugh behind closed doors. People love you most when you're manageable, predictable, easy to mock when you're not looking. But the second you wise up, the second you start moving differently, seeing differently, feeling differently, then you're a problem. Then you're too much. Then you're acting different. No, sweetheart, you're just finally seeing the strings they tried to tie to your limbs. It's hilarious, isn't it? They want you broken but obedient, wounded but working, suffering but silent. They need you confused because a clear mind terrifies cowards. They need you doubting yourself because a person who knows their worth is dangerous to those who profit off their insecurity. So they plant little seeds of doubt, water them with backhanded compliments, and hope you never notice the garden of lies growing all around you. They'll call you selfish for setting boundaries, call you arrogant for daring to believe you deserve better, call you crazy for seeing through the mask they wear so proudly, all while pretending they're the victims, all while pointing their bloody hands at you like you're the villain in their story. But here's the trick. They don't want you to figure out their approval was never worth anything. Their praise was poisoned from the beginning. Their love came with invisible contracts you never signed. And the moment you stop dancing for them, the moment you tear up the contracts, they reveal themselves. Suddenly, you're the bad guy. Suddenly, the hero they pretended to cheer for becomes the monster they have to slay. But don't you dare shrink. Don't you dare fold. Don't you dare hand them the satisfaction of seeing you crumble under the weight of their lies. Let them tell their stories. Let them paint you as the villain. Let them scream to the world how awful you are for refusing to be controlled. Because the truth needs no defense. And real ones can smell lies from a mile away. Growth is a lonely, violent thing. It's breaking out of cages you didn't even know you were locked inside. It's looking in the mirror and realizing you've been taught to hate the very fire inside you that was meant to light up the darkness. It's mourning the death of the version of you that tolerated being treated like a punching bag, a doormat, a backup plan. It's standing up, wiping the blood off your knuckles and saying not anymore, not ever again. It's losing people you thought you couldn't live without and discovering you breathe just fine without the hand around your throat. It's losing everything familiar and realizing you were only surviving, not living. And they'll hate you for it. They'll whisper about you, twist your words, turn your name into a cautionary tale, but let them. Every word they spit is another nail in the coffin of the person you used to be. Every lie they tell is another reminder that you escaped a circus you had no business being trapped in. You don't owe them silence. You don't owe them explanation. You don't owe them anything but the back of your heels as you walk out of their small, shallow world into the vast unknown where real freedom lives. Because once you've tasted that freedom, once you've seen what life looks like without the chains of their approval wrapped around your throat, you'll never go back. You couldn't even if you tried. You'll realize that everything you thought you needed was just bait, that the ones who left weren't meant to stay, that the people who betrayed you were necessary villains in a story where you were always meant to rise, that pain was the price of clarity, and betrayal was the key to unlocking the door they prayed you'd never find. You'll see their faces in your dreams sometimes, hear their lies echoing in the back of your mind, but it won't break you anymore. It'll amuse you, it'll remind you, it'll sharpen you, because now you know, now you see, now you understand that survival was never enough. You were born for more, you were born for war, and you will win. Not by stooping to their level, not by playing their petty games, but by building a life so powerful, so loud, so blindingly bright that it drowns out every whisper, every rumor, every knife thrown your way. And when they watch you rise, when they see you thrive, when they realize they have no access to the empire you built from the ruins they tried to bury you under, they'll pretend they always believed in you. They'll pretend they were always in your corner, but you'll know, you'll remember, and you'll keep walking, head high, heart strong, eyes clear. Because the show's over, the masks are off, and the real ones never needed proof to believe in your magic. Isn't it funny how silence speaks louder than 1,000 screams? How the ones who used to flood your phone with sweet words suddenly forget how to spell your name when your light starts to blind them? They vanish into thin air, leaving nothing but the faint smell of betrayal lingering in the hallway. No warning, no apology, just gone. Like you were a chapter they skipped in the book of their life. Like you were a dream they woke up from and never wanted to remember. But you, standing there with your heart in pieces, your trust hanging by a thread, you still looked around hoping they'd come back, hoping it was just a mistake. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. It was never a mistake, it was a choice. And baby, they chose to leave. People will tell you absence makes the heart grow fonder. They lie. Absence makes the truth louder. Absence turns the volume up on everything you tried to ignore, every fake laugh, every forced smile, every compliment that tasted like ash. When they're gone, you finally hear it. The echo of their disinterest, the coldness behind their hugs, the weight of conversations where you did all the heavy lifting. It was always there, you just didn't want to believe it. Because belief is a powerful drug. It makes you see halos on devils and wings on snakes. It makes you hold on when you should have let go a long time ago. People don't always leave because you failed. Sometimes they leave because you succeeded. You outgrew their small world. You started asking questions they didn't have the courage to answer. You started loving yourself in ways they never could. You stopped needing their validation like oxygen. And that scared them more than any argument ever could. Because people who build their confidence on your dependence can't survive when you start breathing on your own. They thrive when you're desperate, starving, begging. But feed yourself, heal yourself, become your own sanctuary. Oh no, that's when they pack up and disappear like shadows at sunrise. The ones who leave you when you're at your strongest aren't your people. They're spectators, they're tourists in your life. They're here for the highlight reel, but vanish when the real work begins. And that's fine. Let them leave. In fact, hold the door open for them. Blow them a kiss goodbye. Thank them for teaching you the most important lesson of all. Your growth will always reveal who's real and who's just renting space in your heart. Loneliness after abandonment feels like standing in the middle of a stage after the audience has walked out. You hear the echo of your own breathing. You see the empty seats where their faces used to be. And for a moment you wonder if it's worth it. If being authentic, being strong, being you was worth losing the applause, the cheers, the fake love. But then you realize the stage is yours now. No more scripts written by other people. No more costumes you didn't want to wear. No more lines you hated reciting. Just you, raw, real, ready. And that kind of freedom, that's priceless. You have to understand, not everyone was meant to stay for the whole show. Some were just the opening act. Some were the background noise while you found your voice. Some were the hecklers trying to throw you off your rhythm. But you're the main event. You're the headliner. You're the story that keeps going even when the pages are torn and the ink is smudged. You're the storm they didn't see coming. You're the calm after the chaos. You're the phoenix grinning through the flame. People think walking away makes them powerful. They think leaving you broken means they won. But real power isn't in leaving. Real power is in surviving the leaving. It's in patching yourself up with trembling hands. It's in learning to laugh again when all you knew was the sound of slamming doors. It's in dancing alone on a stage built from shattered dreams and stolen promises. It's in becoming someone so unshakable that their absence feels like a blessing, not a curse. You won't always get the apology you deserve. You won't always get closure wrapped up in a neat little bow. Sometimes closure is standing in the wreckage, looking around and saying, I still choose me. Sometimes closure is realizing they didn't destroy you. They just removed themselves from a place they never deserved to be in the first place. Sometimes closure is silence, thick and heavy and healing, teaching you that not every story needs a happy ending for it to be worth telling. So when the silence gets loud and the loneliness starts creeping in like smoke under a locked door, remember this: you were always the fire. They were just moths drawn to your glow. And when the moths leave, the fire keeps burning, brighter, hotter, wilder. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't need an audience. It just is. Relentless, unapologetic, alive.